Hi, welcome back to Zack of All Trades. I'm Zack, and today I want to show you some of the improvements we've made to our low buck adventure mobile. Rather than keep you in suspense, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the thing that I'm probably the most excited about, this awning. So here's how it works. This stuff is just a 3/4 inch EMT electrical conduit, which on one end I've shaped a little bit, drilled a hole with a pin so that it can attach to the camper by these little guys right here. Like that. Now that those guys are attached, we come to the next part. This involves this kind of terrible welding on these 3 EMT couplers to make this 3-way fitting. This was kind of just a proof of concept and my first idea as to how to do this. I've come up with a better plan that's about halfway done right now. I'll show that to you guys whenever I finally get it finished. Here's how they go on. So we just attach this guy like you might expect. Tighten up the screw. And then the other one. And then the legs. Here's the improvement. Rather than this, yuck, I've now finished making 2 of these. I started off by buying 2 of these guys in the galvanized pipe section for about $5 a piece. They're labeled as a 90-degree elbow with side outlet, despite my tendency to call it a 3-way fitting. It's threaded in all 3 holes, so then I bought 3 8-inch sections of black pipe that were threaded on each end. I turned them down on the lathe to make them fit the inner diameter of the conduit. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the lathe, didn't I? We'll have to talk about that later. And then cut them in half and screwed them into these guys. So now I have this, which goes in like this. It's a much more robust connection, to say the least. And now we attach the tarp using these super cool little silly little ball bungee things. This is the absolute best use I've ever seen for these. It works really well. And there it is. Now, just for clarity's sake, it's intended mainly as a sunshade because a lot of times, you know, when you get into a campground, there's no shade or you're camping in the desert or something like that. So that's the original purpose for it. It also will work somewhat if you got a little bit of rain coming down, kind of keep the water off of your head. I've designed it so it will be ambidextrous, tribidextrous. I don't know if that's a thing. It'll attach on either side of the truck, or if things get really bad, it will attach onto the back side of the truck and cover up the cooking area so that you can cook and keep your head dry at the same time. It makes for a real nice little place to sit, and here's my favorite part. It provides a good place for me to hang my hammock. Now, I would love to claim that this is my own idea, but it's not. I have to give credit where credit's due. One of the guys that I have camped with a bunch in the past has a setup similar to this, and I fairly well plagiarized it. Kind of did it my own way, but plagiarized it nonetheless. Johnny boy, thanks for coming up with this idea, man. This is great. Something to point out is that this frame was sized by 2 different things. First off, obviously, I only have so much room to attach it to the camper, but the other thing is it was made to fit this particular tarp. This tarp is a Harbor Freight tarp. It's $4. I think it's $4, and it's 5.5 feet by 7.5 feet. So I made my frame roughly 6 feet by 8 feet so that I have just enough to keep tension on it with the little bungee cord thingamajigs so that it's just like a drum. Kind of a loose drum, but a drum nonetheless. One thing we did that made a gigantic improvement was figuring out a way to add some heat to our little camper. I didn't want to do anything too complicated, you know, electrical or gas or whatever. So it occurred to me something that I had read about back in the frontier days. Check this out. I ran around and I gathered up 4 of these sized rocks to throw in the campfire, or even on top of the camp stove if it's a situation where you don't have a campfire. You heat them up, you wrap them up in a beach towel, and then you stuff them into the foot of the bed. Now the beach towel keeps it from melting your inflatable mattress, keeps you from burning your toes, and after about 12 hours in the foot of our bed, I took them out in the morning and they were still warm. Not hot, but they were still noticeably warm. Of all the things that I've done while camping to make things nicer for the missus specifically, this was it. In the morning, she got up and reported that she was nice and toasty all night. I also took some Velcro and added these little puck lights underneath the corners here, so that when the sun goes down, we have a little bit of light to see where we're going as we climb up the steps. It also helps to keep the little guys from running into the corners right at their face level. Now that we're on the subject of lighting, let me show you another couple of things that I did that contributed greatly to the quality of life. I picked up this flashlight at Harbor Freight. It's made by Braun, which is actually, pretty good name. It cost 29 bucks, which is a lot of money to pay for a flashlight at Harbor Freight until you turn it on. This thing is bright. It's got a couple of different levels and then a tiny little LED at the end of it. And the biggest reason why I bought this one is because it sheds a lot of light, obviously, and it's a magnetic base, so I can stick it on the back of the truck and use it as a porch light. Or stick it up here to illuminate the underside of my awning, or even stick it to my camp stove for that after dark cooking. One of the things that I really love about it is that it's a USB rechargeable, so that whenever we're done camping, I can just plug it in to the USB port in my car stereo and charge it on the way home. That way it's always ready to go. I also put up one stick-up puck light here and a magnetically mounted LED light just inside the entrance. Just to be clear, I really don't feel the need to be lit up like a Christmas tree when camping, but it's really nice to have the light when you need it or want it. I also added sort of a false floor in sections in the inside of my drawer here, just with little tiny feet. That's all that it required, so that when I put it in there, and I put things in there, they're not going to get caught up on the bolt when the thing slides in and out. I had a little bit of trouble with that. So now, as a floor, it's in sections, so I can kind of put it in and take it out as necessary if I need to put something else in there or need to get to the bolt that's in the bottom there. Now, this may seem silly, but as I mentioned at the beginning of this series, my whole intent is for this thing to remain pretty much ready to go so that we can put in the groceries, we can throw in our clothes, and go. So I came up with a post-camping checklist and a pre-camping checklist. The post stuff being obviously all the stuff that you replenish and check and whatnot after you get back from camping, and then, the pre being the things that you wouldn't just keep in there, i.e. pillows and coffee grounds. You don't want your coffee grounds to get old. My checklist is still very much a work in progress, so I am genuinely interested to hear what you think should be added to my pre-camping or post-camping checklist. So please do leave that comment down below. This whole adventure mobile is going to be kind of under construction for a while, but for today, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. Happy camping.